Petre Otskheli is the Georgian scenographer who changed the path of local theatrical decorative art.
Within this individual, three different artists were harmoniously united.
According to Petre Marjanishvili, Otskheli's decorations often gave the actors certain hints on how to move around on stage.
His works did not contain any superfluous elements, no extra details, no overdoing, only the precise encounter of line and idea. Every self-respecting museum has its own Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Gioconda. For our museum, this is Petre Otskheli.
He worked in the theater for just 9 years, but for the next 90 years, he has remained as modern as he was then.
The fact that Petre Otskheli was born into a Catholic family is of particular importance to his biography, since apparently a Catholic upbringing develops a person's specific respect towards systematic work and work ethics. The Catholic family of a successful and wealthy industrialist moved to Moscow, where they owned a broadcloth production factory. This happened during World War I. In Moscow, Petre enrolled at the Catholic Church school, where he continued the education previously begun in his family. At that time, the theatrical life of Moscow was very progressive. The Otskheli family and their children regularly attended theater performances in the same way that they went to weekly Sunday liturgies. Petre transferred his childhood impressions onto the paper. This exceptionally talented child revived in the sketches of his notebook everything he witnessed on the stage, be it in the mice on scene, the characters, or the stories. Later, the brothers started to cut out these paintings. Petre painted these figures so as to stage many family performances. But then the October Revolution occurred. To be more precise, it was a Bolshevik coup. Deprived of any source of income, the family returned to Kutaisi. Petre continued his studies in Kutaisi, where he attended the painting school that functioned next to his regular one. There he met the incredible instructor Ivan Cheishvili. We know almost nothing about him, but the fact that he was an incredible instructor is revealed in the graphic works of Otskheli, produced whilst a pupil of his. Petre already knew what kind of future he wanted to pursue. He connected his life with the Academy of Arts. There he met the classical old-school teachers and two very interesting individuals, Eugene Lancare and Joseph Charlemagne.
Otskheli graduated with 2 diplomas from the Faculty of Fine Arts and Architecture.
Performances staged by the workers' theaters were very interesting in form, but not content. One of these performances, titled The Arsonist, was decorated by a student of the Academy of Arts, Petre Otskheli. Thanks to a lucky coincidence, the performance was attended by Petre Marjanishvili. He became interested in the young designer, immediately noticing the elements and potential needed for his own reforms. He invited Otskheli to produce decorations for Shalva Dadiani's lesser-known play, Straight into the Heart. With all its attributes, plasticity, and visual elements, it is a very interesting, classic, modernist work. This work demonstrates the vision of the scenographer, his ability to deconstruct a space, his remarkable instinct and talent. After this work, Gordon Marjanishvili entrusted the young artist with a stage design for his major work, Uriel Acosta.
At first, Otskheli was met with a certain amount of disapproval from the side of the troupe. He was very young. Marjanishvili had commissioned a 22-year-old artist to produce decorations for the very important play, Uriel Acosta.
This very first work by Petre Otskheli demonstrated three main features that were to become more and more obvious in the future. The first was related to his understanding of construction and the conscious arrangement of a space.
The scenographer became a person with a mindset similar to that for a director. His work was no longer limited to stage design and creation under the guidance of a director. The designer began to determine the rhythm, conflict, and idea of the play. He produced conceptual arts that started to develop under his leadership.
The second feature, which later turned into his signature know-how, was linked to the sketches of his costumes. Otskheli's costumes do not exist in separation from the characters. The artist did not draw a costume by itself, but created a creature with its own personality and instincts, rather than psychology. He sees the instincts of the characters and reveals them through the gestures, sometimes facial expressions or movements of the body. All these details are connected to the garments.
The elements he placed on the stage also turn into characters. They perform, change, breathe, transform, and live on the stage while determining the idea, conflict, and motive of an entire performance. These are absolutely complete portraits, conceptual artistic works. Each of the sketches presents a self-sufficient piece of art. In terms of quality, they are no less interesting than the designs of Paul Poiret. The costume made for Veriko and Japaridze in the play The Whites is a unique piece of Art Nouveau and a very interesting example of modern design.
Based on the content of the plot and the nature of the character, Petre Otskheli easily alters the articulate, expressive lines of constructions. He does it in an incredible way. It is astonishing how the talent of a single artist could accommodate all these features. On the one hand, he works with constructivism, while on the other hand, he engages with expressionism, as in the play The Whites or Beatrice.
This is a fantastic junction of two seemingly absolutely contradicting movements, like Cubofuturism and Art Nouveau constructivism and expressionism. He works combine national motifs and oriental ornaments. A very austere construction and architectural vision together create a fantastic, incredible, unique artistic language.
The third feature of Petre Otskheli's work is his inclination towards the grotesque. All the characters he paints are grotesque and exhibit exaggerated, stylized features. Sometimes the grotesque produces a comical effect. However, in Petre Otskheli's case, it is at times not funny at all. In fact, it can be quite ghastly. For example, the play Aprakuni Chimchimeli, with its sketches and scenography that are full of hypertrophied peppers and pumpkins that are commonly found in Georgian orchards. There is one thing that needs to be mentioned. In Otskheli's case, it is impossible to categorize his works into different styles such as constructivism, expressionism, or grotesque. The features of different movements are present everywhere. It just depends on what share of each movement the works contain within themselves.
When the Soviet Union was hit by a wave of denouncing formalism, of course, Petre Otskheli and the Marjanishvili Theatre were also affected. He wrote a very interesting letter. Rejecting formalism means that I am rejecting myself, my personality, my signature work. I can't reject myself. This means that I denounce myself. And he found a very interesting way out of the situation in a grotesque form, which renders his vision more innovative and avant-garde. The uniqueness of Marjanishvili manifested itself in the fact that he first assembled an avant-garde team of artists such as Irakli Gamrakeli in the Rustaveli Theatre. Later he left this establishment and in 1928 founded a brand new theatre where he began working with unique artists like Elena Hlodiani, David Kakabadze, Petre Otskheli, and entrusted them with leading the theatre on a new path.
This is the period when cinema becomes increasingly popular and is recognized as a domain of art. In this field, too, Otskheli reveals himself to be an innovator. He can play with the artistic pearls of any movement, style, and epoch to present them all as a synthesis of different elements. This is what his constructivist approach and monumental work is all about. At the same time, Otskheli employs the principles of Egyptian monumental painting and sculpture in such an organic way that one would never think that they could be something alien to him. The same happens in the cases of Mesopotamian motifs or European classical elements. I believe we are dealing here with an artist not of the modernist, but of the post-modernist epoch.
When we think of the flying painter and other characters, we believe that these are superheroes who emerged from another dimension. Otskheli himself was a superhero.
This happened in 1937, when espionage activities were already widespread. The state hunted down agents of international imperialism. Everything began as an internal party conflict over the distribution of power between Stalin and Trotsky. This was a period of denunciation and total paranoia, a period fraught with the activities of informants. In total, the number of informers exceeded the number of prosecuted persons. It appears that those who were punished were the best persons. If Petre Otskheli hadn't spent time in Moscow, someone else would have been found instead of him. Google Cultural Institute presented an exhibition dedicated to Petre Otskheli in its virtual space. It was given an odd, but at the same time interesting title, which I believe describes the essence of Petre Otskheli's work in the best possible way. Eternally modern.
Georgian avant-garde took a path that differed from its European counterpart. European avant-garde followed in the footsteps of Romanticism and Naturalism. However, European avant-garde later rejected Naturalism and Realism, while Georgian avant-garde took a leap from the Middle Ages and landed in the modern era. Accordingly, Georgian artists have a very clear, common system of universal perception. Of course, Petre Otskheli, who united, everything was also among them.